to places you would never imagine. And it's a dream of Simonet to provide education for opportunities ahead of us, which will lead to a better future. And we believe that education will pave our way to success. It's not easy to go alone. We will have to work together. Knowledge, if you are to watch the world and provide you a better view. Experience will take you to places you would never imagine. And it's a dream of Simonet to provide education for
Once you arrive at Simolec office, wash your hands for 20 seconds with hand soap and clean water. Then dry your hands with a clean tissue or paper towel. Throw the used tissue into the provided recycle bin. If you wear a jacket, take it off and keep it in a plastic bag. Change your mask to a new one before entering the building. Keep the used one in separated bag. Allow the security officer to screen your temperature before entering the building. Open the doors by using your elbow, shoulder, or back. Apply hand sanitizer before and after using the fingerprint scanner. Clean the desk and keyboard using wet tissue or spray it with hand sanitizer or disinfectant liquid. You are now ready to work.
secara legal kita menyiapkan mulai di Desember 2019. Dalam rangka penyiapan untuk pembelajaran berbasis blended learning, dan kami mendapatkan support dan bantuan dari tim teknis Simolek yang memberikan informasi perkembangan sistem IT, penyiapan modul pembelajaran, dan sekaligus juga memberikan masukan dan arahan kepada dalam rangka penyiapan pembelajaran berbasis IT, sistem Untita ini mendapatkan penguatan konten, termasuk juga desain model pembelajaran. Tim Simolek kepada dosen-dosen yang ada di Alhamdulillah pada Untita termasuk yang pengunjungnya termasuk tinggi secara nasional. Ini juga saya kira berkat support yang intensif dari tim Simolek. Ke depan saya kira partnership antara Simolek dengan Untita dan mungkin dengan perguruan tinggi lain harus terus ditingkatkan. Khusus di Untita tentu kita akan mendapatkan dukungan sepenuhnya dari tim Simolek untuk implementasi kampus merdeka. Itulah harapan kami. Terus memperkuat kerjasama yang baik dengan Simolek.
Tes. Oke. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we can start the webinar meeting, please turn on your web camera and mute your microphone.
It's time to open our eyes to a bright and promising future. We'll rise to the call of the times and create a stronger tomorrow. Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health, and technology. share our expertise. By promoting knowledge and policies, we can build a better world. Let us take a stand for our visions alone, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and great. Hear us in building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams. For a better quality of life is now within our reach. Let us take a stand for our visions alone, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and great. Hear us in building the future is our legacy. Let us take a stand for our visions alone, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and great. Hear us in building the future is our legacy. Building the future is our legacy.
Okay, thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable speakers, partners, participants, and committee of this online event, good day, everyone. Welcome to Simolec International Webinar on Online Learning Engagement Practices from Southeast Asia. This program is initiated by Simolec, a series of activity related to the Simolec 24th Governing Board meeting, which was held a week ago. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Aji Wicaksono. Please call me Aji. I am from Simeo Simolec, and I am excited to be the moderator for today's event. It's more than a year that we suffer and fight the coronavirus, which is affecting all around the globe, resulting in a lot of problems to overcome. Educational disruptions become one of the problems that should be faced on to find the solutions. It affects the educators to find a way how the students can keep learning. An emergency, remote teaching become an alternative way with all its limitations for the students to continue learning. Simolec, as the regional center for open and distance learning, finds it is essential for all Southeast Asian countries to learn from each other on how to improve the way students learn during the pandemic. Hence, Simolec hosts this online event as a means to share initiative actions in education by inviting experts from Southeast Asian countries such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Thailand. For the first agenda, we will have Simolec Director Dr. Alfa Amirahman to deliver the welcome remarks. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mas Aji, for welcoming me in. Honorable Secretary General Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of Republic of Indonesia, Insinyur Suarti, MA PhD, represented by Head of Center for Data and Information Technology, Dr. Muhammad Hasan Habibi, SD MSc, Honorable Director of CIAMIO Secretariat, Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela, represented by Deputy Director for Program and Development, Dr. Wahyudi, my colleagues, directors of CIAMIO centers. I have seen Ibu Indrawati here and also other directors who might be present. Honorable speakers, thank you very much for joining us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the CIAMIO CIAMOLEC, allow me to extend our warm welcome and gratitude to honorable speakers and participants in joining our webinar today. More than 1 year, the world faced one of the biggest challenges with the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. One of the major losses is the delivery of education. The schools are closed in most of the countries around the world. The uncertainty around the reopening of schools and conducting classes still persists. Education institutions around the world have responded to school closure by holding their classes online or in distance learning mode to ensure that students will still be able to study at home. The Indonesian government introduced a distance learning policy or emergency remote teaching or ERT in mid-March 2020 due to school closures and lockdowns to reduce virus transmissions. Teachers, students, and parents are facing many challenges as a result. Most teachers and students were not prepared for the sudden move to online learning, to the swift to online learning. Technology plays a key role, but the consideration to design online learning environment that meaningfully engage students are not easy, are complicated, are complex. As a CIAMIO regional center established and located in Indonesia, CIAMOLEC has been responding to the priorities of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. Through its programs, we have been driving our best effort to connect to most of the priorities set up by the ministry by promoting the implementation of open and distance learning system to reach those who need access to better quality education under the umbrella of Merdeka Belajar or independent learning. As part of CIAMOLEC Governing Board meeting activity series conducted recently on 13th of October 2021, we considered to take this great opportunity by inviting the Governing Board members and their representatives as the panelists to share best practices in education on behalf of their own respective countries through our international webinar on online learning engagement practices from Southeast Asia. This webinar will serve as an important forum for all Southeast Asian countries to learn from each other on how to design online learning properly that will have an impact, meaningful impact on increasing activities, creativity, interests, and motivations of students in learning, which in turn will also result in better student learning outcomes. That's what we hope. This webinar attended by hundreds of participants from education practitioners such as administrators, counselors, curriculum specialists, lecturers, teachers, school management principals, and school leaders, policy and decision makers, staffs, and others. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to our keynote speakers, Governing Board members, and honorable speakers who participate in this webinar, and also the participants who support our online event today. I do hope that innovative practices and lessons learned shared in our webinar today will be beneficial for our educators and teachers in Southeast Asian countries to continue the enhancement in quality education delivery with good motivation, creation, and creativity. This online learning continues to be implemented better and we can achieve our desired learning objectives. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a very good day. Have a very good webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we move on to the next agenda, which is a remark from the Deputy Director for Program and Development of Senior Secretariat, Dr. Wahyudi. It is an honor for us, the committee, to have you joining us, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mas Aji. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Secretary General, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology, Insinyur Suhardim A. PhD, represented by Dr. Hasan Habibi, Honorable Simulek Directors, Dr. Adian Al-Pamir Rahmans, Honorable GB Member of Simulex, distinguished stakeholders, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon from Sim Secretariat Bangkok. It is my great pleasure to be here with you to represent our directors, Dr. Hector Agnes Pasqua Valenzuela, to deliver remarks at this international webinars on online learning engagement practice from South Asia regions, organized by our beloved Simulex today. Since the establishment, Simulex has been spearheading the promotions of open and distance learnings in our regions and beyond through the conduct of programs and initiatives in collaborations with both regional and international stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, this international webinars on online learning engagement practices in Southeast Asia today is perfectly reflects the mentioned passions and goal of Simulex in catering to the current need of learners on the efficient utilizations of open distance learnings in the time of pandemic, or so-called emergency remote teachings. As reflected in its names, ERT or emergency remote teachings call for a lot of effort from the teachers to abruptly migrate the conventional classroom to the online platforms with act like a band-aid for education discontinuity. Therefore, it is commendable and very timely that our beloved center, Simulex, organized these international webinars to be a platform for experts and practitioners to share their best practices and key findings of online learning engagement practices. The webinar also enable us to gather impactful inputs, feedbacks, and suggestions on online and emergency remote learning practices in the regions from all our stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, while the condition and progress of open and distance learnings and emergency classroom transformations through the South Asia countries varies, depending on many complicated factors, the cooperation and participation of international and regional stakeholders, practitioners, researchers, and experts in these webinars has shown our shared visions and efforts to bring each and every country in the regions toward achieving equal access to education. Therefore, we are pleased and honored to be part of these wonderful occasions for the benefit of ODL learners and teachers in our regions. We are also really appreciative on the strong collaborations among Simulex stakeholders, international and regional experts, academic representatives, and practitioners in the field of open distance learnings. These collaborations will enable and equip the participants, which is our teachers, with crucial pedagogical knowledge on top of the technological knowledge. We do truly believe that the outcome of these international webinars will be extraordinary. We would like to end our remarks by wishing you everyone to have a very pleasant, fruitful, and also meaningful webinars. Enjoy the webinars. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much for your inspiring remark, Dr. Wahyudi. You highlighted the silver the silver lining about the ERT through also the Southeast Asian countries, right? And I believe your valuable remarks will motivate all participants to respond to a better education strategy during this hard time of COVID-19 pandemic. For participants, please check out the CMU website and YouTube channel. You'll find out various resources that is helpful for both educators and learners. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is keynote speech from the Secretary General, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Republic Indonesia, represented by Head of Center for Data and Information Technology, Dr. Muhammad Hasan Habibi. He will also deliver the official opening remark of our event today. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Mas Aji. Honorable CMU Secretariat Director, Honorable Director of CMU Centers in Indonesia, Honorable Speakers, Honorable CMOLEC Partners and Networks, Honorable Director and College of CMU CMOLEC, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I am delighted to be able to participate in this international webinar, Online Learning Engagement Practices from Southeast Asia, held by CMOLEC and its partners. It is truly a good opportunity for all of us to learn from other Southeast Asian countries, especially to look at the strategy they apply to facilitate education with quality in the respective country. I would also like to congratulate CMU CMOLEC and appreciate for the initiating such a great event by inviting experts from Southeast Asian countries to share knowledge and best practices. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, information and communication technology has been widely utilized in the learning community as a common way of learning and teaching. Moreover, COVID-19 pandemic has brought the potential of ICT education to be more optimized for teachers, lecturers, and institutions. School closures have forced educators to migrate face-to-face learning into online mode. Several challenges and obstacles are faced by the teachers, students, and parents during the learning from home activity. To the fourth situation, it has an impact on students' socio-emotional development and well-being, as well as their social life and relationship. Students can easily become distracted, overwhelmed, and may lack down of motivation to accomplish course tasks. Therefore, it is crucial to look at how we can create and sustain healthy learning settings, particularly in the current scenario with the challenge of intense online learning. Online student attention has been a major topic of discussion in education recently. Healthy online learning is engaging. Engagement leads to motivation in learning, and it can improve learning outcome. And of course, every educational institution has its own specific condition, and providing engaging learning experience for students is not an easy task. However, preventing students from demotivation requires an understanding of what makes them stay enrolled and focus on their study. Educators and educational institutions must think about strategy that what will enforce student orientation. In Indonesia, the idea of enabling students to be creative and innovative with healthy, supportive, and conducive learning environment has become one of the strategic programs in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology, which is currently known as Merdeka Belajar. Merdeka Belajar encourage progressive learning mechanism by optimizing resources of information processed into visionary knowledge and skill. where the advancement of digital technology is not the enemy that threatens the humanistic aspect of learning, but to help transform it into the best version possible. Not only does digital literacy can help increase learning engagement, but digital leadership can also be of support in creating healthy, supporting, and conducive learning environment. Ladies and gentlemen, in this webinar, we will learn about good practices, discuss, and share tips and technique from college in Southeast Asia, as well as experience and issue based on the topic. The essence of distance learning may bring concern, but on the other hand, this concern also brings opportunity. Distance learning is expected to be able to provide better access, convenience, flexibility, connection, as well as efficiency. Students can take an online course that may include the utilization of various technology. With proper direction on how to manage this technology and focus on learning, students can be successful in their study. I believe that by participating in this webinar, we're in the right place and at the right time. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and scaling up of good practices. So hereby, I declare that the international webinar online learning engagement practices from Southeast Asia is officially open. I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Hassan Khalifa, for the keynote speech. We appreciate the support from you and the ministry to this online event. Hopefully, there are plenty of opportunity for cooperation in the future between Simalek and the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology of Indonesia, including its all directorates and units. Once again, thank you, sir. Now, if I may take your time shortly, before we begin the speaker sessions, we will take a group photo session of all VVIPs, speakers, and committee in the webinar room. Please kindly turn on your webinar camera. Web camera, so we can get a good screenshot. And I will take a 3 times photo. And I will count to 3, so give us your best smile while we're waiting for the operator right now. Okay, we are ready. So I hope you guys ready. So I will count to 3. So give us your best smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, second time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this will be the last. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much. For now, we shall move on to the speaker session. We'll have 4 experts to be the speakers and who will share initiative actions in education during the pandemic present on behalf of their own respective countries. In sequence from 4 presentations, they are Associate Professor Dr. Wan Suhainis binti Saad from Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Sita Tim Kuntitapon, and Assistant Professor Dr. Wanaprabha Saksavat from Thailand. And we have Ms. Dao Sisi Khain from Myanmar. And the last one, we have Mr. Irfana Steviano from Indonesia. So for each of speakers, we'll have 20 minutes to deliver their presentation materials. And we'll have 2 sessions, Q&A after every 2 speakers' presentation. If there are any questions that come in our comment through the YouTube. And if not, we'll make the Q&A after all the 4 speakers' presentations. So You may directly ask one question to a specific speaker, or one question can be addressed to all speakers. The question will select some questions. The operator will select some questions, and I'll be glad to read them out in the Q&A sessions. You can find the link to input your question in the YouTube comment section. And for now, without further ado, may I call our first speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Sehainis binti Saad from Malaysia. She is an associate professor in microbiology, an educational technology enthusiast, practices e-learning, an active learning approach in enhancing students' engagement for effective and meaningful learning. Currently, she is the Director of Academic Excellence Divisions, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia. Please, ma'am, you may now have the floor.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon. It's afternoon here in Malaysia. I would like to share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So today I'm sharing with you on the topic of the adopting a 21st century curriculum. And for this topic, I have actually, I'm going to share with you the framework for the transformative curriculum that we have developed in the Ministry of Higher Education under my division, Academic Excellence Division. And due to this pandemic COVID-19 that has impacted the whole world, especially in higher education also have been impacted. And I think it is also timely that we want to produce what we call resilient and change-ready talent. So this is actually the Malaysian higher education institution landscape, where we have 20 public universities, 435 private higher education institutions, 36 polytechnics, 104 community colleges, and altogether is 595 higher education institutions under the Ministry of Higher Education in Malaysia, with the student enrollment of about 1.16 million students. And currently we have about 92,000 of international students as of June 2021. And in 2018, we produced this framework, what we call the Malaysia Higher Education Framework 4.0, focusing, one of the focus in the framework is on the flexible curriculum design, which is actually what we call as fluid and organic curriculum. Right. So in the fluid and organic curriculum, for the curriculum structure, we want to ensure that the structure or the curriculum should be more flexible, that will involve transdisciplinary programs, instead just one niche program, but more to transdisciplinary program, flexible and non-conventional, involving the industry partnership, and bringing our curriculum for globalization. So with the curriculum structure, we expect to have the what we call the 21st century pedagogy, which involve heutagogy, paragogy, and cybergogy. And not only that, in redesigning the learning spaces using the current advancements of the advancements of the technology, to ensure that our students will have immersive experiential learning, and to move to move away from conventional assessment, not only exam based, but having the students to have what we call alternative assessment or holistic assessment. And all this is actually to produce what we call the future ready graduates. And this was actually established, developed in 2018. Now, during the process of transforming the programs, we also introduce what we call the work-based learning curriculum. Now, in this work-based learning curriculum, the brand name that we use is actually 2U to I, 2 years in the university, 2 years in the industry. This is actually a learning concept that combines students' learning experience in the university and also in the industries. So the students will be spending 2 years in the universities, either 1 year in the industry or 1 or 2 years in the industry. And this mode of program or this mode of learning will involve very committed industry partnerships. And since 2018 until now, we have about 110 programs that are being delivered in this mode. For transdisciplinary programs, okay, we have also introduced the transdisciplinary program that involve more than 2 of the National Educational Code, 2 disciplines, and students are being prepared with opportunity to have different skill sets to in these transdisciplinary programs. Now, there are we have been getting response from the industries when we engage the industries and other agencies or organizations about how our graduates are not prepared or are not being are not talented or do not actually fulfill the requirement of the industries. Skill mismatch, for example, and low wages or underemployment. So the skill gap between the graduates and the industries exist. And this have become an issues and limitations for the graduates that we have actually produced from the higher learning institution. And I'm sure that this is also actually happening in other countries. We from the framework, from the higher education 4.0 framework, although we focus on the to produce a graduate that is actually lifelong learning and design thinking, a more holistic entrepreneur and balanced graduate with the 21st century skill. But I think it's the most important foundation would be the curriculum itself. Okay, now from the fluid and organic curriculum structure that we have developed, we deep dive on how to design the curriculum, what we call the 21st century curriculum, and we produce this model, okay, called the Excel. Excel is what we call Excel is experiential learning and competency-based education landscape. It is actually a framework that combines the 4 thrusts. This with the elements of industry, community, research, and also personalized experiential learning. And although these 4 elements or 4 thrusts in this framework actually are separated, okay, but each of the program would can integrate the element of industry or community or research and or personalized, meaning that, for example, if if the program that I design is actually community based, what we call as CARE, community resilient experiential learning, students will students will study and spend and work with the community even in the early semesters, right? And if they actually have to come up with prototype, and then they work with the industry to help, to work together with the industry to help the community. In order for them to come up with the solution to help the community, they may do some research which actually involve the real element, okay, real problems. So this framework is actually to produce a resilient and change-ready talent, where students are being given opportunity to have what we call more immersive experiential learning, either with the industry, with the community, through research, or through personalized learning. And to produce what we call the 10 C's skills. This is a very generic skills in Excel, which is communication, critical thinking, creative and innovative entrepreneur skills, computational and thinking and ICT literacy, which is very important right now, complex problem solving, collaboration and leadership, cognitive and affective flexibility, cross-cultural and global learning skill. Now, because of this borderless or seamless learning that can happen through virtual learning right now, or through open and distance learning, cross-cultural and global learning skills, coping and well-being skills, also career and learning self-design are more important than ever. Okay, so why we need experiential learning and competency-based education? Okay, because students now, our generation Z, they want to be challenged, they want to be involved. Okay, and even because of this, due to this pandemic, they are being challenged for more than 1.5 years. So they need to be evaluated, to be assessed. They need to know how they can actually survive and how good they are in their studies, in their interests. So that's why we have even the personalized experiential learning, that students will be able to learn based on their interests. And I'm sharing with you very briefly the 4 thrusts in Excel. One we call is ideal, which is industry-driven experiential learning. Students will be having immersive experience, industry experience, where students will be given opportunity to experiment the workplace simulated environment. Students will work with the industry as early as possible, and not just during their internship. That is where, like, for example, like apprenticeship. So the students who actually go through this idea will have more what we call job ready, and they are familiar with the industry, the work-related skills, with work-related skills. And students from community resilient experiential learning care will have more social change through this immersive community-based learning. And we have what we call the Service Learning Malaysia University for Society, that actually help the student to engage and to make sense of what they learned, okay, in the to apply what they learn in the classroom to the community. And students will be able to connect with the community with social innovation, for example. And real is actually research-infused experiential learning, where students will be given real problems from the industry or from the community, or for them to be able to analyze, to create meaning from research findings, right? And for them to really perform real life problems. This is actually will be able to produce a student with analytical thinking, critical thinking, problem solvings, and of course the skills, the necessary skills. And lastly, on poise or personalized experiential learning, this is actually based on students will be able to learn based on their passion, based on their interests. So the curriculum is more agile, and these students are expected to be more versatile, to be good decision makers, and what we call as and progressive thinkers. Okay. So we also the curriculum also emphasize on the sustainable development goal, and also aligned with the Malaysia Education Blueprint Higher Education, and also the My Digital Framework blueprint that has My Digital Economy blueprint that has been published in Malaysia, and of course towards the digital transformation. I think I've mentioned also before this on how the hybrid campus, or what we call the high flex learning, is actually that will be the new norm. Okay, in the landscape of higher education system, high flex meaning that hybrid and flexible learning, right? So we have the initiative, what we call the Mohe Innovative Digital Educators, to develop the competency for digital skills amongst educators, and also immersive learning spaces, or MILES, that for simulation aligned with the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So we expect that students, okay, that go through these programs and these initiatives will be able to reduce the skill gaps, reduce the skill mismatch, promote values and empathy. We provide flexibility and choice, give them a societal change, and for us to reimagining education. So with that, I would like to end my presentation, and thank you for your kind participation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wanzainis, for sharing, highlighting the adopting a 21st century curriculum. Start from the framework until about then about the transformation itself using the module Excel, right? Experiential learning competency based education landscape, the reason, and until we have the minds, right? Okay, so for everyone that already have questions, so you can type or find the link at the YouTube comment sections. You can type the questions there, but hold on, I will read it to you later, because we are gonna moving into our second speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Sita Timkentitawon, and Assistant Professor Dr. Wanaprabha Saksawat from Thailand. So Dr. Sita Timkentitawon is an Associate Professor and served as a full-time lecturer in School of Educational Studies in Sukhothai Thammathirat Open University, Thailand. Okay. She has expertise in the field of TESOL, language learning and teaching, applied linguistics, and related topics. So as for Dr. Wanaprabha Saksawat, she is an assistant professor and lecturer at School of Educational Studies, Curriculum and Instruction in Sukhothai Thammathirat Open University. Please, ma'am, for both of you, you may now have the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I'm Dr. Wanaprabha will start first. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So actually it's good afternoon from Thailand. Okay. I'm so excited to be here, as I have been in Simulate through YouTube several times, and it's great. Okay. So this time I'm gonna present by myself, but as an Wanaprabha will start first. Here we go.
Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Sorry, I have got to unmute myself. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our presentation. Today, the research entitled Investigation of Teacher Supports Needed During the COVID-19 Pandemic, Tools and Skills Moving the Classroom Forward. Okay, as you may all know that teaching remotely from home is now compulsory for teachers and educators across the globe since schools have closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and more than 500 million children have been requested to stay at home. Therefore, a marriage of technologies and teacher training is required to help educators deliver their online effectively. However, there are questions arise regarding teachers' readiness and their knowledge about online learning. Are they well equipped enough with the technology needed for online teaching? Are they skillful enough to teach online? What are their practical pedagogical implications in the classroom? These questions are still unanswered. Therefore, we try to investigate the needs in terms of tools and skills that we can help teachers move their classroom forward successfully. Before we get into the detail of our research, I'll just show you the outline of today's presentation. I myself will touch on the introduction, the rationale of the study, and a brief review of relevant studies. After that, Miss Sita will cover the research methodology, research findings, conclusion, and discussion. So now let's get started. The global outbreak of COVID-19 in late 2019 has meant that teachers and students around the world have had to adjust to a new normal in the teaching and learning environment. In response to the outbreak, governments of many countries have ordered nationwide school closures as an emergency measures to mitigate the spread of the virus. Teachers are required to engage in online teaching in response to the disruption to classroom and normal face-to-face interactions with the student. The disruption has interfered with teachers' instructional plans because they plan their lesson in advance, right? And has presented many challenges to learning processes that traditionally occurred in the normal classroom setting. And Thailand has not been exempted from the impact of such disruption to its school. COVID-19 was first detected in Thailand in January 2020. And the steady increase of confirmed cases has resulted in educational institutions being temporarily closed to support home-based isolation and the implementations of Thai government's physical distancing policy. As we all know that over the years, language teachers have become increasingly familiar with the technologies enhanced classroom practices, such as in the blended learning or the use of flipped classroom. However, the total shift from traditional classroom-based learning to online learning is completely new experience for teachers and for me as well. You know, because for earlier version, we mix the classroom and the online method, but now we have to totally shift to online channel. Indeed, it has presented language teachers with a lot of challenges. For example, ensuring the readiness of the students to teach and learn online, developing their ICT knowledge and skills, accessing online teaching learning tools, and implementing online teaching techniques effectively. These challenges has resulted in a substantial change of teachers' cognition on online teaching. Okay. Teachers must learn to present the contents in their own ways. And also the tradition of classroom interaction, the dynamic of classroom interaction is also missing. Teachers may have to adapt or try to find ways to accommodate different learning styles of the students. So these issues influence online engagement and the students' learning outcome. Even though recent studies have been conducted on learners and teachers' readiness for online education during the COVID-19 pandemic, and teachers' reflections, experiences, feelings, and thoughts on online teaching during the COVID-19 pandemic. Still, little has been reported on how language teachers are coping with these challenges and type of support they need to teach effectively online. Therefore, this study aims to fill in this gap. The findings of this present study are expected to help government sectors, school administrators, teachers, designer of learning materials to understand frontline language teachers' need when teaching online. The research questions underpinning this study are: first, what types of fundamental technologies do teachers need to teach online during and after COVID-19 pandemic? And secondly, what topics do teachers need training or professional development on to help them to overcome their challenges? In order to find the answers to the mentioned research questions, the researchers revisited the studies relating to language teacher cognition. The study of teacher cognition is concerned with understanding what teachers think, know, and believe. Its primary concern lies with the unobservable dimension of teaching teachers' mental lives. As a tradition of research in education, the study of teacher cognition stretches back over 30 years. And although some early work in the field did focus on first language education, second and foreign language education is more recent phenomenon, which emerged in the mid-1990s and has grown rapidly ever since. A key factor in the growth of teachers' cognition research has been the realization that we cannot properly understand teachers and teaching without understanding the thoughts, knowledge, and belief that influence what teachers do. Okay, according to Brock 2009, stated that teacher cognition research has made a significant contribution to the understanding of the process of becoming, being, and developing professionally as a teacher. Studies on language teacher cognition and technology provide us the fundamental information that beneficial to our studies, that give us the fundamental information about the existing body of knowledge of teacher cognition, especially foreign language teacher cognition, and the use of technology. So we apply these. So I won't get into details. These findings of this research as the fundamental information for our studies. Now, let's look at figure number 1. To properly investigate the technology and training that language teachers need to be effective online practitioner, it is essential to look into the contextual factors that affecting their cognition of online education and their actual classroom practices. The figure 1 shows factors such as teachers' belief or teachers' knowledge and their subject matter knowledge and access to online teaching and learning tools can cause teacher cognition of online teaching to change. Moreover, the actual classroom practices of teachers are affected by the interaction of their cognition and the prevailing contextual factors. As a consequence, teacher cognition is one of the major factors contributing to the successful implementation of online classes. So this framework informed the questionnaires and interview questions of the present study to draw out the in-service teachers' schooling, professional coursework, contextual factors, and needs in order to find out the teacher's cognition about online teaching during the crisis. So this is the end of my part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Then going to be my part. I'm going to talk about the method and result of our study. Here we go. Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm going to say about our samples. We going to use 60 students. They are studying in School of Educational Studies, majoring in English teaching. Okay. Actually, we have done a lot of studies about English teaching on these samples. I can't say a lot, several though, okay, about like burnout of them during COVID-19 and the training. And actually this study is the first phase that we're going to use them as the samples of the study. Okay, so for the research methodology, the first step we design and then we do the pilot study and revise the tools. Okay, and the second step, we do the data collection. So we do the survey and interview. Then we go to the third step. So the data analysis and later reliability. And the fourth one, report findings and research presentation. Here we go. As I said, that 60 teachers studying for a master degree in curriculum instructions measuring in English language at our university, Sukhothai Thammathirat Open University. Okay, so we're going to talk about their background a little bit by asking about their background in the questionnaire. Okay, right. And in the study, the participants were also asked to respond to open-ended questions about teacher training as well. And the questionnaire was distributed online using the Google Form platform. And then data were analyzed using SPSS to compute percentage and means. In addition, qualitative data derived from the questionnaire were analyzed using typological analysis. Here we go. So we go through the respondents' demographic data, as I said. Okay, so we go to gender, age, location, respondents, location of respondents, years of teaching experience, main teaching subject, teaching students level, and online teaching platform. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'll go faster. So normally they are females, so 85% and around 26 to 30. Okay, and locations in central of Thailand and the south of Thailand. And the main teaching subject, they are normally teaching the integrated skills, of course, and teaching in family level at 51.60%. And online teaching platform, they always use lines, as they say to me, okay, line and messenger, okay, but for teaching, okay, they use Google Meet a lot in 28.30%. And year teaching 0 to 5 years. Okay, I'm gonna skip these, and then we go through the result that we found. Okay. So for the first question that Ajahn Wanapapa has said, what type of fundamental technologies do teachers need to teach online during the and after COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, the first one that they need, okay, of course I can say that they need computers and other computing devices. Okay, normally they say they always use computer at home. Okay, but for teaching, they use the modern computer at school. But for COVID-19 situation, they have to use their own computer, so it is not as good as they use at the school. All right. And the second one, what they need is a reliable and stable and possible internet connection. Normally, we're going to have like some kind of internet connection at our smartphone, tablet, and so on. But the internet connection that we have not as fast to teach online learning and to make it in a better way to teach the students. Okay. And the third one, they need microphone, headset, and camera. Of course, for laptop, we always have these, the microphone, headset, and camera, but it's not that good, okay? But if they use the computer that used at their own houses, so it is the desktop. So they don't have the camera and microphone or in one computer in one device, so it's going to be hard for them, okay, to use the microphone and headset and camera, so they need these. All right, so it's going to be the big problem for Thai teachers teaching online learning in the pandemic situation. So what they trying to fix the situation, so they use the smartphone and tablet that they have, okay, to teach students and also learn English and learn in our university. And the second one, what topics do teachers need? Training or professional development on to help them to overcome the challenges. Okay. The first thing that they need, the participants indicate that they need that training on the basic function of virtual learning, like video, like coding, audio, chat for live Q&A, editing and publishing video. This one is going to be the big problem for them, as well as I say that they don't have the effective equipment to use, okay? So sometimes they're going to use the smartphone. So this one, they're going to learn how to use these, use the smartphone and learn how to cut the video, to live teaching and recording things and lots of things, okay? And the second one is they say that they need training and professional development on how to create effective learning content and material for students. You can see that on online learning that students always, distract themselves. They don't pay attention enough to online learning and teaching, okay? So the teachers say that they need to make the content interesting for the students to understand and to, look at them and try to study, to stimulate them to study and so on, okay? I need it as well. Okay, lastly, and they indicate that they need training and professional development on how to create online worksheets and projects for students. So this is hard for them as well, because normally they're going to use the paper and paper and other things in school. So this one is going to be the hard work for them. Okay, so for two questions that we have, we're going to do the second phase, that we're going to have the teacher training for them later on. But for this study that we have done, okay, we can see that teacher in Thailand, they need a lot of things, okay? And I would like to voice this to our government and school administration. I think they need to consider how to support teachers during the COVID-19 pandemic and after COVID-19 pandemic, as to help teachers to successfully achieve the set learning goals and objectives, okay? And if possible, provide them like good equipment for teaching and learning and the training courses for them. So it's going to be good for the future learning and teaching, okay? And future studies, okay? May consider taking the finding of this study to create a teacher training course, as I say, that respond to language teacher needs, all right? Here we go. So thank you. And now I'd like to have Q&A section. So if anyone would like to have some questions or comments, go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. So for the Q&A session, I think we will conduct after the third speakers. So for now, oh, okay, sorry, I haven't turned on my camera. So for now, we might let the participants type the questions at the link at YouTube comment sections.
Okay.
And after the third speaker, I will read it out about the questions that they have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you for both of you. It was wonderful, insightful sharing. So
Almost start.
before we move on to the next speaker, I'd like to encourage you to share today's webinar with your social networks. You can take a screenshot of this webinar session and share it or post them directly onto the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook accounts. And don't forget to tag Simulec social media account. So for now, next, we'll have our third speaker, Ms. Dao Sisi Kain from Myanmar. She got her master's degree in English in Daejeon University at 2001, and she is a lecturer in the English department of Yangon University of Distance Education, Doctor of Philosophy in Management. Ms. Dao Sisi Kain, the floor is yours, ma'am. Hello?
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you clearly.
Yes. Salah. Salah. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to give a presentation here. I am Dotiti Kain, lecturer from English Department, Yangon University of Distance Education, Yangon, Myanmar. The topic I'm going to present is analysis of teachers' attitudes towards new opportunities and challenges in online teaching during COVID-19 pandemic period. The purpose of this study is to identify teachers' attitudes towards challenges and opportunities they have during the COVID-19 pandemic period. The challenges are unprecedented. They may not seek every opportunity unless the institution has a good plan for their teachers to assist them. Data are collected from majority of academic staff from Yangon University of Distance Education. It is found that most of the respondents perceive that the academic challenges they have during this period are really great. It is also found that they have already sought opportunities that come to them and their performance in their workplace is better. This paper recommends that the institution should implement plans for capacity building of the teachers from YUDE to facilitate their needs, such as using technologies, applying appropriate structured instructional designs. All these would encourage collaborative learning, knowledge and skills to be able to apply appropriate learning strategies. I'm going to present rationale and objectives of the study. Only when teachers can overcome the challenges they face, they will be able to grasp opportunities more securely. Overcoming the challenges is grasping the opportunities. This study aims to identify challenges and opportunities of the faculty members from YUDE. This study also paves a way for the institution to look for any proper solution that YUDE provides capacity building programs so that teachers can overcome the challenges faced during the pandemic and also have the potential to catch up the opportunities landed for them. The objectives of this study highlights that to identify challenges and analyze the attitudes of faculty members on the challenges they have, and to identify opportunities available for faculty members and analyze to be harmonized in the use of tools and technology in their places, learning places. Let's move on to the next slide. To be able to define my research, the research questions were set first. They are, what kind of greater challenges do the teachers from YUDE have during the pandemic period? What are the opportunities achieved or taken more by teachers improving themselves in their workplace? What kind of facilities provision should the institution make? And what are the factors should YUDE take into consideration for the capacity building of its teachers? I am moving to perspectives. After declaration of COVID-19 as a global pandemic, it had an impact on every aspect of our lives, including education. All the academic institutions from all over the world were put under a lot of pressure to deal with the unprecedented change from traditional face-to-face teaching to online learning as a result of the shutdown. The pandemic prompted innovative approaches to online education. Faculty members have an important role in making learning fun, molding students' attitudes and personalities, and assisting students to pass the difficulties in pandemic periods. COVID-19 prompts the culture of online learning around the world. There is a mistake in my paper when I wrote several institutions in the developing countries. I really don't mean several, but I mean many. So therefore, let me correct it. Many universities in developing nations lack the necessary resources to effectively educate online. Moreover, the training of professors differs globally between high-income, middle-income, and low-income countries. The present crisis, COVID-19, emphasized the importance of the internet and technology in all aspects of life, including education, because the pandemic has demonstrated the importance of online education in dealing with crisis. It is critical to examine the attitudes of both teachers and students about online classrooms. My research methods includes participants, materials, and procedure. Data is collected from 71 faculty members from YUDE. Out of them, 55 teachers returned the questionnaires in time. For materials, a questionnaire is used as a research instrument that consists of a set of questions to collect information from the respondents. These questions are close-ended questions. The questionnaire is distributed as paper questions, although all the received responses are recollected into a Microsoft form for the analysis. This survey questionnaire has three parts. The first one is challenges that may be faced by the teachers from YUDE. The second one is new opportunities in their workplace. And the last one is learning opportunities for teachers during COVID-19 period. Their responses are recollected manually into Microsoft Form again, so that convenient data analysis can be done by a computer. The procedures was efficient and time effective for data collection. It was also cost efficient. This research inquiry was conducted on the target audience, who were faculty members from YUDE. All the questions from the questions were close-ended questions that yielded objective responses. In this part of my presentation, I would like to show you about challenges that may be faced by the teachers from YUDE. Points of the challenges are shown at this slide. Now, let's move on to the next slide. I have divided into two parts of opportunities. The first one is new opportunities in their workplace. There are 5 kinds. The online learning system makes my performance improve. Online learning system makes learning effective. Online learning system makes teaching become easier. And online learning system is useful for teaching, and the online learning system makes me convenient in teaching. This slide shows that learning opportunities for teachers during COVID-19 periods. There are 5 opportunities for faculty members concerning with online learning. They are using new applications and tools in online teaching, how to create online lessons suitable for my students to work by themselves, making new video lectures to upload for my students, how to share online learning resources with my students as well as my colleagues, and how to track the learning progress of my students to be able to control their online engagement. I like to illustrate these points by showing you table 1 and figure 1. And I also like to point out 2 or 3 interesting details. In challenge 1, out of all 55 respondents, 40 respondents expressed their different levels of difficulty, with 4 referred most difficult, 13 more difficult, and 23 replied as difficult. Only 15 faculty members said easy then very easy. In challenge 4, among 55 respondents, 48 teachers said that designing e-learning materials is difficult for them. Out of those teachers in such difficulty, 17 were more difficult, only 7 answered as easy. Challenge 5 is instructional provision. The data shows that among the respondents, 24 teachers said that the facilities provided by the institution are enough, while 29 respondents said differences that they are not enough. What I mean to say is, it is found that the number of teachers who are facing the challenges of teaching online is greater than those who find it easy to overcome. In transforming teaching into online materials, engaging with less motivated students, staying up to date with modern technology, and designing e-learning materials, more than 78% of responding teachers answered as more difficult or difficult to overcome these challenges. And the number of teachers who find these challenges easy is less than 16%. And I like you to have a look at this table and figure. Opportunities for workplace achievement. In opportunity 1, among the respondents, only 6 fully believed that online learning system improves their performance in their workplace. And the belief of 14 respondents is as strong as 80% and 30 respondents as strong as 60%. Only 5 respondents answered with weaker ratings. Opportunity 2 is online learning system makes learning effective. During the COVID-19 period, many teachers have become familiar with ICT and online learning systems. Materials used in the online learning systems are fully designed by the teachers themselves, although teachers cannot be present online while their students are learning. Therefore, learning without teachers can be more or less effective. In this regard, only 3 teachers fully believed that learning online is effective. The belief of 47 in learning online is higher than average. 5 respondents showed that their belief in online learning is lower than average. Similarly, the number of teachers who have sought opportunities and turned into workplace achievement is also greater than those who did not do very well. Those who answered that online learning system made their performance improved, learning effective, convenient and useful in teaching are more than 82%. Let's move on to the next slide. In this slide, our data shows opportunities for capacity building online learning. In opportunity 1, only 70 respondents support the statement by using new applications. 30 respondents answered 60% true, while 8 respondents replied with lower ratings. In opportunity 2, when seeking the opportunities of creating online learning suitable for their students, 2 respondents answer 100% truth, and 70 respondents answer 80% true, which are higher in rating. While 29 respondents replied at 60%, that rating are not very high. At the same time, 7 respondents replied with lower ratings. This pandemic period makes everyone busy, not just students, but also teachers themselves are learning new tools of new ways of delivering their lectures, using new platforms for meeting. 75% of teachers answered that they sit well with the opportunities given to them. Opportunities include using new applications, making video lectures, creating online learnings, sharing online learning resources, and tracking the learning progress of their students. I am presenting discussion part of my paper. Teachers from YUDE have challenges, although it will be needed to further investigate how they will deal with these challenges with or without the assistance of the institution. It is also a good time now for the institution to add on this issue, facilitating the numbers of faculty with capacity building trainings so that teachers find their ways to overcome the challenges. Teachers from YUDE also sought opportunities for learning for better performance in their workplace. They also have learned a lot to deal with the challenges or to acquire new learning skills. Although this study has listed the challenges facing their teaching processes, it can describe the needs and things to do for the plans of teachers and students to implement for the institution. I would like to present my recommendations. After highlighting the above findings, the following are suggested to implement and integrate ICT in their teaching and learning. The first one is, it is suggested for teachers from YUDE to continue learning so that they can cope with the coming challenges imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The second one is, it is also suggested for the university to develop work plans for the university and for the academic staff aiming to overcome these challenges. The third one is, to be applicable, the level of using ICT for teaching staff should be upgraded. Training courses for reviewing and upgrading curricular and improving pedagogical skills should be conducted, and provision of assistance of available experts should be made as needed. To be able to implement online teaching, any appropriate online platforms by the institution or personally should be used to carry out institutional online activities. The last one is, even when the COVID-19 pandemic is over, not only the teachers, but also the students should be ready to conduct online teaching and learning with full of satisfaction by using ICT to build up the nation in the education sectors in various ways. Let me finish my presentation. This research investigation is just a small scale one and the initial phase of the university. Anyone who would like to extend the study or any administrator who would like to develop a plan for training the faculty members should continue a deeper environmental scanning before designing the training plan. For those who would like to continue, it is hoped this research investigation will be helpful to some extent. That completes my presentation. This slide shows information of my references. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tao. Cici, hi. It was very insightful presentations. So, unfortunately, we don't have our fourth speaker ready. So for now, we'll move on to the Q&A section. But before that, I would like to encourage you once again to post a screenshot of our webinar session at your social network. It could be a Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook accounts, and don't forget to tag Simulec account too. Okay, so for now, we will move on to the Q&A section. So, operator, would you mind to show the questions, please? Yes, thank you. So the first questions comes from Vidya Chandra Devi from National High School to Wonogiri. The question is addressed to Professor Dr. Wan Suhainis. The question itself is, please give me some suggestions how to train higher order thinking to our students during this pandemic. So, ma'am.
Yes.
Please.
I can answer. Okay. Thank you for the question. I think it's very important that during this pandemic, whether you are teaching the students in hybrid learning, because for example, in Malaysia, starting 15 October, we are having students in the higher learning institution to come back to the campus in phases. In phases where some of the students are having face-to-face and some are online, only for those completed their vaccination. So when having the students online, I think it's very important that we want to empower them. Empowerment, we design the learning into more task-based learning or problem-based learning, and the most important thing is to instill the interest in student on that particular topic, for example, and to pick their curiosity. And student also would want to be able to relate to the real life problems. So in order for the student to have that opportunity, we need, as educators, we need to provide that opportunity for students to be able to analyze, to do research. That's how we can actually train them for higher order thinking. We want them, when we actually design the project or the task for them, we must include the students to do research, collaboratively work with other people, not only in their faculty. We can design it so that the student can work with other other peers, peer learning or pedagogy from other countries also. Okay, so this through collaborative learning, to peer learning, and the task should be for them to do more research and do analysis, and at the same time sharing their findings with others. So that's one of the approach that we can do to train them for higher order thinking skill through this pandemic, especially when we have now everybody is using the platform, the virtual conference platforms to learn. So it is easier to work with other people collaboratively, borderless, all over the world. I hope it answer your questions.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I hope it answered the question from Miss Vidya Ika Chandra Devi. So we now move on to the next questions. Okay, we have a question from Tri Widyaswari, a question that addressed to Thailand speakers. Both of them, the question itself is, how do we validate the data of the research during the pandemic of COVID-19? So please.
Okay, we validate the research instruments by the experts, and I think you mean the information gathered from the interview data, right? To validate the data from the interview data, we transcribe the interview data and then we recheck. We use the iterator reliability to check the coding that we agree. So apart from researchers, we have other experts to help us check the content that we analyze as well.
Okay, thank you for your answers. And do we still have questions left? Yes, okay. So the next questions come from Dewi Aryani from Mahaputra Muhammad Yamin University. The question addressed to Associate Professor Dr. Wan Sahairis. The question is, can you give me more explanation about the assessment based on your presentation, especially assessment in pandemic? Thank you.
Okay, during the pandemic, I think the through ODL or through online learning, one of the challenges is through is the assessment, and instead of having paper-based or exam-based learning, we always encourage our educators to design the assessment through what we call the alternative assessment. And that alternative assessment can be in the form of continuous assessment, can be in the form of project-based or task-based learning, challenge-based assessment. It can also be through reflections of the students that they design it into a what we call as e-portfolio. So students reflects on what they have learned and in the e-portfolio, and that e-portfolio can be in the form of a blog or Google Sites, or some of the universities, they have their own platform or their portal, e-portfolio portal for the student to share their learning artifacts, what we call learning artifacts or learning objects in the e-portfolio, and the evaluation can be done or the assessment can be done through that portal. So there are many approaches that the educators can use to evaluate students, and not just through quizzes or online examination. But of course, there are universities who actually can support their online examination through what we call e-proctoring. Some of them can actually afford to use the system, the e-proctoring system, for online assessment.
Thank you for the answers. I hope it can answer the questions from Dewi Ariani. Okay, so let's move into the next questions. Okay, we don't have any name or institution here, but the question itself is addressed to Mr. Sisi Hain from Myanmar. The question is, please give me the suggestion how to utilize ICT so it can help the teacher engage the student. Please, ma'am.
Yes, using meeting with students directly, synchronously, and indirectly. And concerning this, according to the figures, teachers from YD really took the opportunities, but as much as they can. So I would like to suggest that by using various platforms.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I hope it answers the questions. So we'll move on to the last questions. So the question is addressed to all of speakers from Yulia Nuryani Chandra. So the question is how to increase student motivation during the online learning. So maybe we will have the answer from Malaysia first. So
Okay.
One's Highness, please.
Okay, thank you. It's very important, I think, from our distinguished speaker from Myanmar and Thailand also mentioned how we need to engage our students. Even our kids, having online learning for 1.5 year now, and one of the motivations is, I think, is the educators themselves. We as educator, we need to be able to engage to the student, meaning that we need to interact with the students. We want to and also the just now to instill the interest. When students are interested, then they will be more motivated to join or to participate during the online learning, because but in order for them to be interested, we as educator are the one who have to actually find the way and to instill that interest first. We may even have to design our learning to be more interesting and attractive in the form of game-based learning, for example, and challenge them, and so that they will be more involved. And one last thing I think is very important to motivate them is to empower them. We must not underestimate our students, but we empower them so that they will take charge of their own learning. Thank you.
Yes, welcome, ma'am. So you are emphasis in engage and instill the interest from students, right? So now let's move on to the Thailand speaker. So for the Dr. Sida and
Yes.
one of
Yes.
Professor Sawat,
Yes.
please, ma'am.
Okay. I agree with the first speaker from Malaysia. I think game-based learning is the best. You know, not only online learning, but for the on-site learning as well. But I'll say it depends on many factors. Learners is the first factor that we have to concern. If they don't understand the content that we share, or they don't pay attention enough for the content we are sharing in the classroom, so it's going to be the big problem. So in the case, I will ask the parents to help and talk to them. So I think talking to the parents during the pandemic for online learning and teaching is the good way to fix the problems, I guess, to make them understand and make them talk to their kids about these. I think is the first things that I can think of. And the second thing is, as I say, that teaching need the training on making things or the content that it's more interesting for the students. Game is the best, but it's not, the best test I can say, sharing the content for the students, I can see from teachers from Australia, from America, and lots of places, they use like a background to attract the students, like the background to make it like some kind of monster animals and things like that. So I guess it's going to be interesting for the students, and let them create things at home and sharing arts online. Like flipped classroom going to be the better way to make them understand and attract them in online learning. That's the ways that I can think of right now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So your emphasis on because learners should be understand about the content. So one way to overcome the problem itself is asking the parents or talking to parents is a way to overcome these problems. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, we are going to the Myanmar speaker, Mr. Sisi Hai. Please, ma'am, to answer the questions.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Could you hear my voice? Because your video is not moving in here. Miss Chao Sisi Hai. Oh, yes. Hello, ma'am. Could you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Hello. Please unmute yourself first.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
The questions is.
Yes. And
yes, how to increase student motivation during the online learning?
yes, to increase students' motivation during online learning, we need to give formative feedbacks and interact with them and look for ways of supporting students' needs. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, ma'am. I hope the answer from all the speakers. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So thank you for all the three speakers that already answered the last questions. So for now, I have informations regarding the questionnaire and certificate. Professor, would you mind to show the slide, please? Okay, so regarding the questionnaire, we have a link for the questionnaire itself to gain your thoughts about an opinion in order to prepare our next event better. The survey itself will only take for about 5 minutes to complete. And please be assured that all the answers that you provide to us will be kept as confidential. So please fill the questionnaire first. And after that, I will move into the next informations. Okay, regarding the materials about the international webinars, for you guys who are wondering how to get the materials, you can go to your each training account or directly to the link shown at your laptop right now. You can check under the news and update tab, and the material itself will be updated on that tab. Okay, for the certificate, so you may see the Indonesian language, so I will read it to you. So how to claim your certificate? You have to fill the form at the questionnaires. So the link itself is shown at your laptop. Oh, we have the English version at the bottom. And the deadline itself at 22nd October. And the evaluation form should be filled no longer than the deadline. And the availability of the e-certificate will be available on participants e-training account. So you can take a look at your account and see at your own tab for the e-certificate. You will find the certificate there. Okay, and one last good thing, you can win a Simulec exclusive agenda for the best 5 best comments. We'll take from YouTube comments, right? And from so we'll take the best comments in the from the evaluation form. Yes, that's for all. And that was a great time for all of us. I think we have to come to the end of our sessions. Our high appreciations goes to all speakers who have presented today and enlighten all participants with good sharing initiative. Actions in education presents on behalf of their own respective countries. Hopefully, it will inspire all educators who joined this webinar to implement in their own institutions. Thank you everyone for joining us today and hope we will see you in our next events. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, everyone, honorable speakers. Thank you very much for participating and giving your very invaluable insight for all of us in Southeast Asia and beyond. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's our honor.
Wonderful, wonderful, excellent. Thank you.
Great.
See you later.
It's time to open our eyes to a bright and promising future. We'll rise to the call of the times and create a stronger tomorrow. Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health, and technology. We will share our expertise. By promoting knowledge and policies, we can build a better world. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and dreams. Here at Symphia, building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams.